everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review for Zack and Mia by A.J. Betts. So this book tells the story of two different characters, Zack and Mia, and Zack and Mia are both, they wouldn't really interact in normal everyday life, but then they both find themselves in the same hospital for not kids with cancer, but people with cancer. So they're the youngest people there, and they're in rooms next to each other. Now Zack can't leave his room because he's just had a bone marrow transplant, so he's being isolated. So he kind of learns to communicate with Mia in different ways because they have rooms next to each other, and then they end up both getting out, and this isn't a spoiler at all. It seems like it, but it's in the synopsis. Then they both end up getting out, and they end up reconnecting when they are both out of the cancer hospital, and it's kind of the story of them in the hospital, but then also them outside of the hospital. So it kind of takes on an interesting tone because it tells both of those stories. The writing of this book was really interesting, especially in terms of perspectives. I found the first part of the book is told, it's divided into three parts, Zack and Mia. So Zack is told from Zack's perspective and is told from both of their perspectives, and then Mia is just told from Mia's perspective. So first you start out with just Zack, then you get both of them, and then to end off the novel, you just get the one perspective. Now I had a few problems with this. I found that the perspectives weren't distinct enough, really. I would find myself having to go back to the beginning of the chapter to see who was talking, so the characters didn't really have a distinct enough voice for me to really be able to tell the difference, which was a bit of an issue for me. And I also didn't really like the idea of you get one perspective, then you get two, and then you get just one again. I found that it was weird because then it was just all of a sudden the main character that you start out with, he's just kind of dropped off his whole perspective, so it kind of felt like the story was left incomplete, and it was a little bit unsatisfying for me in that way. That being said, I did enjoy hearing from both of the characters. I just do wish that they would have been a little bit more different. The overall writing of this book, though, was really good. I found about the medical things, it was just really unapologetically honest. Like, this book starts off talking about Zack's poop, and it's just a thing. I mean, it's an important thing in his, like, medical life. He has to tell people how he's pooping, and it's kind of like a joke on that, but it's kind of showing how, like, when you're sick, nothing is private anymore, and I felt like kind of bringing that into the novel was interesting because it really was just unashamed and just out there, outright about everything medical, and I really appreciated that. It wasn't like just kind of skirting around the topic of cancer, it dealt with it really head on, which was really cool. The characters for this book were my favorite part. I felt like they were very well developed. We obviously have our two main characters, Zack and Mia, and I found that Zack, he kind of stayed the same throughout the novel. He didn't really change much, he was pretty stagnant, but I think it worked for him because he kind of had accepted the fact that he had cancer and that it wasn't something he could change, so he just kind of learned to deal with it and learned to kind of see the best in things as well as he could for the sake of himself, but mostly for the sake of his friends and family. But on the other hand, Mia, at the beginning, she's so mad. She's so angry that she has cancer. She's so upset about it. She knows it's something she can't change, but she's kind of determined to avoid it and to kind of put it on the back burner and not really let anyone know that she's going through this, and she just kind of is trying to ignore it as hard as she can and trying to fight it, not in the way that like she's fighting off the disease, but she's trying to fight the fact that this is happening to her and kind of push it away, which she obviously can't. But you see how she grows and learns with the help of Zack to kind of accept this, and you kind of see her really grow as a character. She goes through, you really are following her on this like rocky path to kind of learning how to accept the fact that she's not healthy and that these things are happening to her and she has to deal with them. She can't avoid them. So I think learning how to deal with that was a very central part of the novel for her, and her character was interesting because I think it was really, once again, realistic. It was really unashamed. She's mad. She's really angry that she's sick and she can't do anything about it. She's a teenager. She's supposed to be going to like homecoming or whatever the dance was called, the formal, but she can't because she's sick, and she's really upset about that, which I think is really realistic, because when you think about kids with cancer, you feel sad for them, but I mean, they are so mad about this, and you just kind of, there's nothing you can really say to make it better. And as terrible as that is, I mean, it's just something that is, like, there's nothing you can really do about that. And I think having a character, because most characters you read about in books that deal with cancer, their path is pretty much the same, and they're not really like, you have Hazel, who's sarcastic about it in The Fault in Our Stars, and she knows what's going on, but she's not really, she's angry about it, but you don't really get to see that much of that. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It worked for The Fault in Our Stars. That's one of my favorite books. But in this book, you get to see Mia being really angry about it, and just really how a teenager would probably react when, like, a lot of them probably react like this when they're faced with that diagnosis. And I think it was really an interesting perspective on a child with cancer. I also liked seeing Zach's different family members. I also liked seeing the interactions of the family members in this book, and how they, like, how each of them kind of dealt with their loved one having to go through this terrible, terrible disease. I found that they were all really unique, and how they dealt with it really said a lot about who they were as a character. I really liked Zach's sister. I think she added a lot to the story, and she was kind of a really nice companion for Zach and Mia. That being said, the plot of this book, like I said, a lot of people compare this book to The Fault in Our Stars, which is inevitable because it's a cancer book. You're going to compare any book that deals with childhood cancer with The Fault in Our Stars. It's just a thing now. But they're really not the same at all. They both deal with really different parts of the journey of going through cancer. So it's not like The Fault in Our Stars. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It does, like I've mentioned, it deals with kind of Mia really just being against this. So it's a really different perspective on childhood cancer, which I think worked well for the most part, but I don't think the execution of it was really the best. I felt like there were a lot of really intense climactic events that were happening, but they were dealt with in a really anticlimactic way, which kind of left me feeling a little bit unsatisfied at the end of the book. It was just these huge things that you're kind of anticipating being revealed in a dramatic way, and it wasn't dramatic, which may be something that, like, other people would like in this book, but personally, I just found that it didn't really work for me. It's not that I was hoping for more drama, but it wasn't really giving me a lot to work with in the way of having, like, the kind of big climactic scene that you wait for when you're reading a book. And I really felt like the characters were what carried the novel. Mia's character particularly, and her journey really is what made me like the novel and not really dislike it. But that being said, overall, I gave this book a 3.5, I believe, out of 5 stars. I just had too many issues to really bump it up to a 4. But that being said, I did enjoy it. I thought it was a really cool read, and it was really interesting. I've never read a book that's set in Australia before either, so I thought that was really a cool part of it, because seeing how the diction is a little bit different was really interesting and kind of put me out of my comfort zone. But I really liked this book. I just had too many issues with it, like the perspectives and the fact that there wasn't really that big climactic moment that I was hoping for in the book. Not that, like, a specific moment, but there weren't really any. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know if you have read this book, your thoughts on it, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!